Do you know what kind of crime is the most common in South Korea? That's right, sexual assault. And the victims aren't just ordinary women. Even pregnant women close to giving birth have been targeted. Even if the victim manages to safely deliver the baby afterward, that nightmare never really lets her go. Even when it's confirmed that the baby is biologically the husband's, many assaulted pregnant women still spiral into the delusion that their child might carry the attacker's genes. And under that kind of crushing pressure and torment, some victims are even driven to take their own lives, tearing apart what used to be a happy family. Now, this victim's husband is a psychiatrist. He knows exactly where his wife's trauma comes from, but he still can't heal the damage in her heart. And what makes him even angrier is this. The attacker only got 4 years just because he was in poor health, so the court gave him special treatment. And the second the doctor saw that smug, taunting smile on the attacker's face, a seed of revenge was planted in his heart. From that day on, the doctor kept researching every painful way a person could die. Also that when the attacker got out, he could personally avenge his wife and child. 4 years flew by, but in the end, the doctor never got his chance, because the day before the attacker was set to be released, he was accidentally electrocuted in prison. That instantly ruined all the doctor's careful planning over the past 4 years. Not only did he fail to get revenge himself, but the attacker also died way too easily. The doctor was so unwilling to let it go that he fell into despair, and the one thing keeping him alive completely collapsed. But then one day, a patient showed up, and suddenly the doctor found a new purpose in life. This guy had been living in mental torment for years. His wife died in a car crash, and his 8-year-old son was left in a vegetative state. And the drunk driver who caused it all was out of prison after just a few years. One night, the man even spotted him out on the street. Like they say, nothing burns hotter than seeing your enemy face to face. So he tailed the drunk driver in his car, ready to slam the gas and kill him. But then he thought about his son, still lying there like a vegetable and needing care. So in the end, he had no choice but to give up on revenge. Instead, he went to the doctor for psychological counseling. But what he didn't know was that the doctor's very first words would leave him completely stunned. At first, the man thought the doctor was even crazier than he was. But after hearing what the doctor had been through, he realized they were both broken by the same kind of pain. So the doctor came up with a very special treatment plan for him. Help him kill the drunk driver and erase that knot in his heart for good. Because in the doctor's eyes, people like that are like cancer cells, constantly tormenting the people they've hurt. And the only way to heal the victim is to kill the villain. And as it turns out, the treatment actually works. No shots, no meds, kill the target, snap a photo, and just like that, all kinds of emotional pain are gone. Seeing the relief on the man's face after finally getting revenge gave the doctor a little comfort too. Not just because he had pulled his patient out of hell, but because it also helped make up for the revenge he never got for his own wife. He started actively searching for victims of unjust crimes and using his own twisted murder therapy to help them crawl out of the shadows. In just 2.5 years, the doctor committed 11 murders, and every single one was done differently, all to make the perpetrators suffer 10 times more than their victims did. This eye-for-an-eye approach became not only the doctor's most direct way of saving victims, but also his own reason to keep living. And the doctor's series of spotless murders became the biggest story the Korean media was desperate to uncover. But then one morning, a female reporter suddenly got a call from the doctor. He said he wanted to give her a one-on-one exclusive interview, and she couldn't tell anyone about it. She had no idea what his motive was, but she immediately realized this was her shot at a major exclusive, so she agreed on the spot. But her boyfriend, who was a cop, didn't buy it at all. He figured it had to be some kind of prank. I mean, what serial killer reaches out to a reporter for an interview? But the reporter was dead set on getting that exclusive. Even if the odds were 1 in 10,000, she still had to take the chance. The doctor picked a hotel for the interview, so she and the cop made every possible preparation. They had a tiny earpiece, and they even installed a hidden camera in the room ahead of time. On top of that, the reporter made the cop a copy of the room key. The second they confirmed the doctor's identity and found out who he planned to kill that night, the cop could move in and arrest him. What they didn't know was that the doctor had already set them up. At exactly 2 p.m., the doctor showed up right on time. And from there, he calmly told the reporter his whole story, from start to finish, including how he became the serial killer everyone feared. It left both the reporter and the cop completely stunned. This guy didn't sound like a murderer. He sounded like some miracle-working savior. But right then, a waiter came in with room service. And just as he finished setting the food down and was about to leave, the doctor called him back over, pretending he was about to tip him. But instead of handing over the money, the doctor suddenly pulled out a syringe and jammed it straight into the waiter's neck. The doctor then calmly explained that the person he planned to kill that night was already dead. It turned out the waiter had secretly filmed a female co-worker and blackmailed her for 3 years. That's why the doctor chose this hotel for the interview in the first place. He was there to remove the victim's biggest source of pain. Then the doctor told the reporter that he still had one more person to kill that night. Just as she was trying to figure out what he meant, he said that even though a cop was watching him from the next room, he wasn't scared at all. The moment they heard that, both the reporter and the cop realized the doctor had known about their little setup the whole time. So the cop decided to move in and arrest him right away. But then he realized he couldn't open the door no matter how hard he tried. A second later, he was knocked out by a drug the doctor had planted in advance. As for the reporter, she tried to ambush the doctor with a stun gun she had for self-defense, but she was no match for him, and ended up getting shocked unconscious instead. When the cop woke up, he found himself tied to a chair. But interestingly, the earpiece in his ear was still there. Clearly, the doctor left it on purpose so the cop could hear everything he was saying to the reporter. Only then did the doctor reveal who his final target was that night. The reporter's cop boyfriend. Because this time, the doctor had taken a request from the reporter's daughter. That's right, the reporter's own daughter. But as a single mother, the reporter couldn't believe her daughter would ever have anything to do with a killer like this. So the doctor told her the truth. A few months earlier, the cop had been lured into a trap by criminals using a honey trap. They used explicit photos to blackmail him into doing dirty work for them. One of those jobs was breaking into the reporter's house to steal evidence on those criminals. Just when the cop thought he was about to pull it off, the reporter's daughter unexpectedly came home. And to keep his secret from getting out, he committed a monstrous act against her. Then he used that to threaten her into staying silent. The reporter was completely shattered by what she heard, because the cop had always treated her daughter like a father would. How could he possibly do something that evil? But the doctor had already expected that words alone wouldn't be enough to convince her. So he called the reporter's daughter and made the reporter hear the truth for herself. The second she heard her daughter's voice, it felt like her whole world collapsed. Then the doctor handed her the gun he had taken from the cop and told her to end it herself. By this point, the cop had already broken free. But with a gun pointed at him, he didn't dare make any sudden moves, so he played innocent and kept denying everything. He even told the reporter not to believe the doctor because after all, the guy was a serial killer. But in the middle of their argument, the cop suddenly saw his opening and lunged forward, snatching the gun right out of the reporter's hand. At that point, there was no reason for him to keep pretending. He started beating the reporter mercilessly, and just as he was about to kill her, the doctor suddenly walked into the room. Facing the man who had exposed everything, the cop wanted nothing more than to put a bullet in him. "I'm betting your gun isn't loaded." Before the cop could even react, the reporter drove a syringe straight into his thigh. Turns out the doctor had prepared a backup plan for her. Even if the cop overpowered her, she'd still have one last chance to catch him off guard. Honestly, the doctor's planning was insanely meticulous. No wonder he killed so many people without ever getting caught. After that, the doctor told the reporter to go home first and leave the unconscious cop to him. When the cop woke up again, he realized he couldn't speak, and he couldn't move either. He was completely helpless, like meat on a cutting board, just waiting for the doctor to decide what to do with him. But this time, the doctor didn't torture him with violence. He simply made sure the cop would never be a man again. After dealing with the cop, the doctor's life finally seemed to return to normal. But even then, he looked down at his blood-stained hands and fell into deep thought. Should he keep punishing evil, or was it finally time to walk away? And that's the end of the movie. Killer's Report is a Korean film released in 2025. What this movie really tells us is that even though the doctor's actions feel satisfying and cathartic, fighting violence with violence is still against the law, and it's not something you should copy in real life. Guys, if that still wasn't enough for you, go check out the full movie. Alright, goodbye everyone.